Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Um, I was supposed to do research on this. Well, not necessarily research, let me not say that. I was supposed to basically just take notes and like get everything planned out and written out so that I didn't forget anything. But there's really just two main points I want to touch on. So I guess I feel like I kind of can just go with the flow and it should work out okay. I just kind of wanted to get a video out and get focused on something productive and positive, so I figured why not just do it right now. So basically the point of the video is just to talk about how 2020 has affected me with like coronavirus and the protests and stuff like that, along with other things, but those are the two things. It's just 2020 as a whole for everybody in general. So I'll keep out the personal life stuff because that's unnecessary. But so the two main things that I wanted to focus on in the video are like appetite and weight loss due to 2020, and then mental health. So I'll start off with the weight loss because most people, since quarantine and stuff has happened, everybody's joking and talking about how they've been gaining weight because they're in and they're bored and just eating everything. And at first, maybe the first week or two was like that, and then I don't know, it was like a flip was switched off, and all of a sudden it was just like I really don't know what I want to eat, and if I do know what I want to eat, I can't eat a lot of it, and it's not like I'm choosing to not eat a lot. It's really just like I just can't. It's just like I can take a couple bites, and honestly, most of the time I pick at it, and then I just eat certain parts of it, and then it gets wasted. I am one of those people that don't really like leftovers, so once I put something in the refrigerator, it's very rare that I'll go back to it and eat it. It's only certain foods that I'll actually go back to and eat. And also, there are certain meals that I can eat, like all of it, but not a lot. Like, it's like homemade tacos. I could eat that any day. Probably like buffalo wings. I could probably eat most of it, if not all of it. But, and jollof rice, which I've discovered since this year. So those are the only things that I can really just eat all of. But other than that, I really can't. So I have noticed like weight loss, which is a good thing, but it also leads me to wonder like why is my appetite like this all of a sudden? And I don't know, I guess it's just I just don't feel like eating that much. It's not like a thought process. It's really just like when it comes down to eating, I just can't eat a lot, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, to be honest. So I guess that's okay, but that is one of the main things that I've noticed being affected. And then the other thing is mental health, like noticing how certain things that I may like deal with are a little harder to deal with right now, or noticing new symptoms and things that I deal with that I never noticed before. Like when it comes to OCD, that's never really been something I noticed that much because it just never was obvious to me. Like if there was things that happened, I just didn't really think of it that way. It was just like, oh, it's just something I do or whatever the case is. But I would say the things with that I noticed a lot since 2020 started are like obsessive thoughts, like you might spend an entire hour just thinking about one specific topic, and it just continues to go on. And it's not necessarily that I want to sit and think about whatever it is for an hour, but it's just like it just ends up working out that way. And that's normally in the morning time for me, or right before bed, that I might sit and think about something for a long time, like the same thing for a long time. And so that's one thing. Another thing is like germs type things, but technically it's not. I don't know. Like clumps of hair on the floor. That's technically not germs. And especially if it's my hair, it makes it even weirder to me that it bothers me so much. Like I've caught myself like gagging, picking up my own hair off the floor. And that's really not a big deal, but it's just like it really skeeves me out. Bathrooms do like it's just like I don't know. To me, I want to say germs, but I mean, well, the bathroom is a little more like on the side of like germs, but it's just like it's pretty bad because it's just like so bothersome to me. Like I really be in there like freaked out, especially when it comes down to like taking a shower or taking a bath, because even though there's a mat and stuff like that, like on the floor if you just step out onto, and then in the bathtub, it's like I don't like when the shower curtain touches me, and I don't like standing on the floor in the bathroom like after a bath or a shower because I feel clean, and now I feel like I'm like stepping onto this mat, and it's just not very fun. It's not a very fun experience, but I get through it like I have to. I have to be clean, so I don't care. But those are things that are like new because they didn't happen before, and if they did, I don't feel like I noticed it. So I don't know. And the third thing with that would be if I randomly notice my breathing or how often I swallow, I get kind of fixated on it, especially if I'm around someone and I kind of feel like anxious or nervous. Like I can like get like fixated on how fast or slow I'm breathing, and so now I'm like sitting here like trying to control my breathing and get it to a normal state, or I'm like trying not to swallow that much because I feel like it's noticeable, and it's like, why does this even matter? But that's something else that I've noticed with my OCD that can be pretty frustrating. Um, so that's the main one that I would say like normally was never a problem, and now it's just like this is one of the main ones that like I notice stuff in because they're all new things in there. Like it's just kind of like why, but I think it's just because I'm really like anxious and stressed about like what's going on in our world right now. So it is like sometimes triggering things that were never really triggered before. Not to say I haven't gone through really stressful times in my life. Like the last 3 years have probably been the most stressful years of my life, but I didn't notice any of these things. It wasn't until 2020 that some of these things got worse. But I definitely don't think it's a permanent thing. I think once, you know, I change some things up in my lifestyle and go back to, you know, doing therapy and writing more, like journaling more, and get back into exercising. I do plan on doing that and starting that back up this week. So I think that's going to help a lot because that's always improved my mood and helped me be more positive, and you just feel so much better about yourself. So I don't think it's for everything. I think that's a lot of these things are gonna get much better once I like make some lifestyle changes and go back to therapy and stuff and start working out. That's something I can do immediately. So I'm not even gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna start that immediately. So I think that would be good. But yeah, I know like a lot of people who suffer from, any kind of mental health stuff. I know a lot of people are affected greatly right now. I've seen videos on YouTube, and I'm just like, I can definitely relate to the fact that this has really been hard. Sometimes, if you don't have the proper help that you need, you try to self medicate or you do self destructive behavior type things, or things just get worse. And I think it's important that as much as you can, that you try to seek the help that you need or just do any coping skills that you have that normally work for you to try to lessen the stress and the emotional burden that everything that's going on, that is like how it's affecting you. So yeah, I really just wanted to get on here and just mention those few things. There are other things that are being affected, but I could do that in another video. I really just wanted to focus on those two things because those are like some really noticeable things for me that I'm dealing with, and I do plan on doing all the stuff that I said that I think is going to help tremendously. So anyone else who is noticing new symptoms or worsening of symptoms, or just any kind of distress and stuff like that, like I completely understand where you're coming from, and I know it can be so hard, and sometimes, especially with a lot of things being closed, you can't necessarily get the help that you need. But it's not going to be like this forever. Things are opening back up, and there are other avenues to get that kind of help. So just try to stick in there as best as you can. I know how hard it is, but please just try to stick in there and don't let 2020 get the best of you. Thanks for watching.